The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Okay, stop right there. The afflicted, the brokenhearted. Think about how many people you know in this community alone that meet that description. Right there. So keep in mind as I read the next 3 verses that he's speaking, in this context of Ramona, he's speaking about these people here. He's talking about those here that are lost. And believe me, it doesn't mean that because you're in church that you're not just as much lost. I tell you, my dad made sure I knew the Lord at a very young age. And I spent a good part of my life going in and out of church, broken big time. Living a lie. I was a Sunday school teacher, and I was a great Sunday school teacher. And then I'd go home at night and smoke weed. And do it because I thought that I could do that. Because nobody discipled me. I didn't really know what it meant. And again, I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm just telling you I made bad choices. There's plenty of people out there that are hurting that will tell you that they're doing great. Okay? So he said this again. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Okay, now the next one. To proclaim liberty to the captives and freedom to the prisoners. Okay, verse 2. To proclaim a favorable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn. Now that second part right there, when Jesus read Isaiah 61 in the tabernacle, he only read the first verse. And the reason he only read the first verse, because he came to pay the price for the second one. So to comfort all who mourn. Verse 3, I grant those who mourn in Zion. And like I said earlier, he had me on this word this morning. And I looked up the definition of it, and there's probably, 25 different definitions that you could use for this, but one of them, and I never knew this, the church. The church. The body of Christ. Y'all sitting in this room are the church. I'm not the church. I mean, I am the church as part of the body of Christ. This building is not the church. You're the church. That's what we're talking about here. To grant those who mourn in Zion, or the church, giving them a garland instead of ashes, oil of gladness instead of mourning, a mantle of praise instead of the spirit of fainting. So they will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. I also thought it was kind of funny that he calls us to Ramona. He gives us this verse to use up here, and there's so many oak trees up here. You know, I heard somebody say recently, they were talking about they would go out and cut firewood, and they said they would get on some of these back roads where the lumberjacks used to go, and they would cut down trees, and maybe nobody's been back there for like 8 years, 6 years, and they'd be driving down these roads, and sometimes you would see these pine trees, these baby pine trees sticking up in the middle of the road. And so when you saw the baby pine tree, you knew that you could drive over it with your truck. The thing would bend down, and then when you got over it, it would pop back up on the other side. Easily done, not a big deal. Okay? But one thing you do learn on those roads, that if it's an oak tree, a baby oak tree, you don't do that. Because you're going to end up with damage to the bottom of your car, because they don't bend over. Okay? So, oaks of righteousness. Okay, here's the last part. This is speaking directly to you guys. Verse 4. They will rebuild the ancient ruins. They will raise up the former devastations, and they will repair the ruined cities. The desolation of many generations. So to sum it all up, he's here for healing. He's here to set the captives free. He's here to deliver the oppressed. And he's called you and many more to get healed, to be set free, to be equipped, to understand how to read his word, so you can go out and rebuild the city. Last thing I'll say. Someone asked me, and I said it earlier. Somebody asked me, how you guys... I had breakfast with a pastor, and he said, I've been up there and done some work with some of those churches. And he goes, and they're hard to get through. They have their own way of doing things. How are you going to get through to it? And I remember going home going, I don't know. He knows. I don't know. Well, he told me later how. Right here. We're not here to do anything for the church other than, the church is up here other than serve them. Every pastor, every worship leader, every person that works in the parking lot. We bring, the name of our ministry is Kingdom Bridge Builders Ministry. The way we build bridges in this community is by serving everybody, by raising up disciples and healing. And in the midst of that, every ministry in town, every church in town will see the fruit from it. And they'll want to be part of it. And even if they never want to have Leilani and I come in and talk, it's okay. It's fine. We'll still keep serving. But at least they'll see the fruit of it, and maybe they'll want part of that too. Yeah. Thank you.